Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me with the Ontario Landlords Watch YouTube video. We are doing our second video today just to talk about landlord licensing. It's been a very popular topic in the group lately for the sake that St. Catharines is now trying to introduce landlord licensing. We have one of the members in Ontario Landlords Watch now had created a petition on change.org to stop this policy from coming into their city. But it's not just St. Catharines. This policy is starting to spread like wildfire. And I get it, like it's quick, easy money for these municipalities to get based on our hard work and dedication as investors and providing the necessity of housing within that area. For instance, right now in St. Catharines, they're trying to propose that it's a $575 fee, and then they want to kind of work it in. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's a $500 fee. It's $575 in Oshawa. So with $500, and that's going to be valid for 2 years. In Oshawa, they're trying to mimic Oshawa's. That's why I'm going to talk a little bit more about Oshawa, but Oshawa is now at $575 for the first year, and then $375 after. This is obviously, it's been a big concern. It's supposed to have went to the Supreme Court, in which they made a judgment that they were allowed to have it. Some of our members who own rental properties in Oshawa had told us that this policy is only in certain licensing zones, such as the universities or the colleges, and that's where they have landlord licensing. So in St. Catharines, it seems to me that it's not just going to be a certain area in which they're doing it, but they're going to be trying to administer that in all of the rental units right across the board in St. Catharines. Obviously, Waterloo has this landlord licensing, which is definitely, it's a struggle. You can see how much requirements you need to do to get your landlord licensing. You also have to get a criminal record check to be a landlord in the city of Waterloo. And this is now starting to have its trickle effect in other areas. We have Peterborough, which they're pretty decent. It's like $75 to have it done, and then it's going to be $50 after. So we have one city that's charging so minimum, and then we have other cities that are charging absolutely a ridiculous amount of money for landlord licensing. For Toronto, you're looking at $10.60 is for per unit to keep these places safe. Now, for me, it's like, as good landlords are, we would probably follow suit because these are the rules and these are the regulations, and we would do it. But if you are having a concern with slumlords and they're not keeping those places safe, do you really think that they're going to have to go and get a license from the city? And how are you going to catch them? Are you just going to wait for, a tenant to report them into property standards and say, hey, my landlord doesn't have a license? Which way are you going to try to enforce this landlord licensing? I know that we did have another area in southwestern Ontario that I believe it was London. I think it was London who had a certain fee figured out for their landlord licensing, but instead they decided, a lot of landlords never bothered to get it, so now they've upped the fee, or they were lying about how many bedrooms they had, so now they've upped the fee into what it's going to cost for investors in London to get their landlord licensing. I have no idea why the municipalities are thinking of this. It's absolutely ridiculous for people to go ahead and introduce this policy, because it's going to make things more unaffordable. You're going to create an industry where landlords or investors are not going to want to become landlords in that city. We have a current issue right now. It's called supply and demand. We could raise our rent to whatever we want right now, and people are taking it because we have so many people, very minimum of rental units on the rental unit. And now because of this licensing, it's starting to kind of think like the government is completely out to get us. We have the Residential Tenancy Act, we have the Landlord and Tenant Board, we have property standards. We have many other rules that we have to follow, which why they're inventing landlord licensing when tenants, if they don't feel safe, they could go ahead and they can call property standards. Now, the mayor of St. Catharines has stated, hey, this is about the fire department and having the fire department come into these rental units and try to figure out how many people are in that unit. So this way, if we know where the rental units are, we know how many rooms there are, and you know what? Is the fire department, they will check the house from top to bottom, just like if it's a regular home occupied type of property and there was a fire, the department's going to come in and they're going to check the place from up to down. If a tenant feels that the place is unsafe due to any type of fire hazard, guess what? They're going to call the fire department. The fire department comes and they check it out. So why are we charging landlords these type of landlord fees when we're just going to have to eventually have to pass this on to tenants? And it seems like they're doing it in areas where there is the students from universities and colleges, which if landlords are passing it down, the rent is obviously rising for these students. Now they're in school full time. They may have some part-time job to go on, but you're setting them up for more debt because now they have to take more of their loan and cover the cost of housing, and landlords are just going to increase this, and they're not going to be lowering it anytime soon. So if you have the province is screaming affordable housing, we need affordable housing, every platform from municipal, provincial to federal, they're all going to be talking about affordable housing. So why aren't they taking the time to sit with investors, to sit with the private small landlords who are providing a necessity into these communities? Landlords have everything at risk. They have their money at risk. They have their credit at risk. They have their livelihood, because heaven forbid if you didn't do your checks for your smoke detectors and there was a fire that was in there, like, it's coming back on you. We have a lot that you have to kind of consider when you make a policy change like this, what the trickle effect is going to be. Just like water billing that happened in Cambridge and it's happening in other municipalities, and we're still trying to fight it, and we're trying to get them to reverse this another ridiculous policy. You need to make sure that it's not going to be passed down, but it is. And now tenants are finding things to be very much unaffordable. Landlords are still having and where tenants are going to be able to pay for their own utilities, but they've increased the rent just because there's still a risk there. So we need to come together. Like, we have so many people in Ontario Landlords Watch. We're at 2,185. We're trying to do our best right now of getting everybody into the group, but there's so many of us, and I think we need to start stepping up, coming on to Facebook Live on your own feed, coming into the Ontario Landlords Watch group, Facebook Live. Do whatever you need to do so that we could go ahead and become louder and let them know that we're not just doing this to protect landlords. We're doing it to protect the tenants. We're trying to create affordable housing as well, because we want, good tenants. We want them to be able to pay their rent, because if they can't, we're paying money anyways to go to the landlord and tenant board to pay that $190 plus legal fees, not including the rent that they're not going to be able to pay us. And let's not talk about other type of tenants that we get when we actually have to recoup the cost for damages. So all of this is a business, and we're going to have to re-put it in somewhere where the tenants are obviously going to have to pay for this. So if you think about having a policy like this introduced, thinking that it's going to be good for tenants, it's absolutely doing the opposite. So please share the word of what this is, what this landlord licensing is, and how it's not going to be helping anyone, and it's also just going to hurt them instead. But please just do whatever you can to spread the word. Get to your local municipalities when you do see that this stuff is happening, especially the landlords right now in St. Catharines. Like, let's throw our support there right now to try and stop this. Yes, we are landlords, but you also just need to open up the picture a little bit bigger for them to see what you're going to do. And maybe we'll have to, landlords right now, are you raising your rent? Comment below, are you raising your rent? For if there was water billing in your city, if it was landlord licensing, did you have a bad tenant that just left your unit completely in shambles? Did you raise your rent because of it? Because this is what landlords are doing. And we're coming to you to tell you what we're doing, because we want the municipalities to work with us. And if you can work with us, we can work with you. And it all starts with different type of municipal policies, and it's going to be different from provincial policies, such as the Residential and Tenancy Act. All these things need to be under review for us to be good landlords, and we want your assistance in doing it, because we know the government can help us. They just refuse not to because there's an election happening. We're doing the best we can as landlords. This is our retirement plan. This is something that we're not trying to get rich quick. This is something that we're going to use because we don't get that pension, that a company pension that some people really look forward on. So I want to thank everyone for joining in today to talk about landlord licensing. There's probably going to be a lot more that's happening, especially for the sake that we just need to keep getting as many signatures on the change.org website. Currently, they have over 980 signatures, and we want to kind of touch base now for the next couple of days on different other type of municipal policies that are affecting the rental industry. So please log on to our Ontario Landlords Watch Facebook group, join in, have a great conversation with all the members. We're amazing. We wouldn't be what we are today. We are going to be having a conference that's coming up October 21st, 2018, where we're going to be talking about different type of issues and also the solutions that go with it, and also just to celebrate Ontario Landlords Watch and what we've become today, as well as check out ORIC 2018. Ontario Landlords Watch will be there as a guest speaker for their main stage and also on the other panels. So check out that information on our Facebook group as well, since we're going to be able to give out some discounts. So that way we'll all be able to get down there and meet together, and check out our newsletter. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, just email us at olwlandlords@gmail.com. Subject line newsletter, and this way we can get you onto that list, and you can keep an eye on what's happening in the industry, up-to-date news, as well as when we're going to have some local landlord meetups so that we can connect like this. Until we meet again, happy renting.